All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready for another deep dive. Today we're taking a look at, well, a few things actually. Bunch of stuff happening. NFTs, of course, always NFTs. And then a really fascinating new DeFi platform that it's shaking things up a bit. And then, and we've got to talk about this article by Paul Graham, the tech investor.
Yeah.
Really gets you thinking about leadership styles.
Yeah, it's amazing how these seemingly different areas like NFTs and leadership, they all kind of paint this bigger picture, like all about innovation, disruption, that kind of thing. Really relevant stuff no matter what you're into.
Totally agree. And speaking of shaking things up, can we talk about CryptoKitties for a sec? Remember them. They're back. They're making waves, let me tell you.
Those eggs?
Exactly.
Yeah.
The eggs.
Yeah.
The floor price skyrocketed. We're talking $20 to 23.5 ETH. And hold on, get this, in 48 hours.
Oh, yeah, that's classic FOMO right there. Fear of missing out gets everybody, even the people who should know better.
Especially when you see, well, let's just say people in the know, like yourself, doing pretty well with those eggs after our last little chat, huh?
Well, hey, sometimes it pays to be informed, right? But you're right, that whole FOMO thing, it's powerful. But it's not just hype, not this time. CryptoKitties team, they've got a good track record. And the buzz, oh man. The buzz around this Ethereum virtual machine compatibility upgrade, it's huge.
Okay, hold on. Got to stop you right there. EVM compatibility. For those of us who don't speak fluent crypto, what does that even mean? And more importantly, what does it mean for these eggs?
Okay, so picture this. You've got your CryptoKitty NFT, right? Now imagine that little digital cat is suddenly the key to, I don't know, other games, platforms, maybe even like different metaverses. That's the potential here. EVM compatibility, it's like finding out your gym membership now gets you into some exclusive club downtown. And then there's the airdrop potential. People are going crazy for that.
Airdrops, you mean like surprise crypto gifts? Yeah. Like finding a winning lottery ticket just chilling in your digital wallet?
Exactly. And this EVM upgrade, it opens up those doors big time, especially for these eggs. But, and this is important, even though the market cap is pretty low, like 2.3 million compared to other projects, the token distribution, total mystery.
So it's kind of like, what, jumping into a pool without knowing how deep it is?
Yeah.
Could be treasure down there. Could be, well, not much of anything.
It's all about risk, right? Got to assess that before you dive in.
Speaking of big players, Xcopy, the artist we've talked about before, they're kind of having a Michael Jordan moment right now in the digital art world. What's your take on that whole thing?
It's fascinating, really. You're seeing the power law principle playing out in real time. Amazon dominates e-commerce, Apple, they're the kings of smartphones. And now in digital art, you've got artists like Xcopy just like grabbing everyone's attention and the market value through the roof.
And it's not just the new stuff either, right? Even their older pieces, the value's skyrocketing. Yeah. Like finding out that box of old baseball cards in your parents' attic is suddenly worth like $1 million.
Yeah, that's the power law, man. Sure, we'll see tons of talented digital artists popping up, but a select few, they'll always rise to the top, just like Xcopy.
So we're basically watching, what, a whole new art world being built right in front of us. That's wild. And speaking of the art world, get this, Sotheby's, like the actual Sotheby's, they auctioned off a collection of Supreme t-shirts for $2 million.
I know, right? Talk about a cultural shift, but it's bigger than just some, high-priced auction. This is Sotheby's saying, hey, NFTs, digital assets, they're legit. They're sending a message to those traditional collectors, the old money, that this digital world, it's got real value.
So this legitimacy thing, it opens up some really interesting doors, right? Like, what about NFT-backed loans? Is that on the table now?
Oh, absolutely. That's Sotheby's valuation. Pure leverage. It's like getting a pre-approval from a bank, but for your NFT collection. Yeah. Pretty cool, huh?
That is wild. But gotta be careful with loans, right? You wouldn't, jump into a car without knowing how to drive. Same principle.
Exactly. Think of it like this. NFT-backed loans, they're kind of like loan-to-buy situations. Before you even think about it, ask yourself, if this goes bad, if the borrower walks, am I okay owning this NFT?
Smart move. Personally, I only lend against stuff I'd be cool owning myself. And that loan-to-value ratio, got to keep an eye on that. You don't want to be left holding the bag if things go south. All right, so we've covered NFTs, but let's jump into the DeFi world for a bit. There's this new platform, EtherVista, and it's making some serious noise.
Yeah, EtherVista is definitely turning heads. It's got this really captivating approach, value compounding, deflationary mechanics, that whole thing.
Oh, I love to hear those words. Deflationary value compounding. Sounds like my kind of party. But for those of us who don't speak fluent DeFi, can you break it down a bit? What's the deal with this EtherVista thing.
Sure, sure. Imagine a system where, like, the more you use it, the more valuable the core pieces become. That's EtherVista, basically. Designed to make those tokens more valuable over time, and they do that with these auto-buying burning mechanisms.
Okay, now you're talking my language.
Right.
But I got to ask, how do those mechanisms actually work? Give me the behind-the-scenes tour.
So every time there's a transaction on the platform, right, a chunk of those tokens involved, they get bought back automatically. And then, gone. Poof! Out of circulation. Like a digital black hole, they just disappear.
So basically, as more people use EtherVista, more transactions happen, and the supply of tokens shrinking, which, if I'm following, should theoretically drive the price up.
Exactly. Built-in scarcity, my friend. It's constantly working, making those remaining tokens more and more valuable. And here's another thing. EtherVista, they have a $1 fee per transaction. Flat fee.
Now, that's interesting. Most platforms are all about those percentage-based fees, right?
Yeah.
Why go with a fixed fee, especially in the crypto world where things change, every 5 minutes?
Yeah. Well, it's all about, like, accessibility, I guess, and predictability, you see, with those percentage fees. They go up and down with the transaction amount. But EtherVista, flat fee, simple, transparent, especially for people new to DeFi, maybe a little intimidated. It makes it easier.
So it's like, what, removing some of the barriers to entry, letting the little guy get involved without, those fluctuating fees taking a bite out of their investment, especially during those nail-biter bear markets, right?
Exactly. Now, it's not totally unique, to be fair. We talked about Pump.Fund before on the Solana blockchain. There are some similarities, for sure, in terms of how they, the user experience, the potential for profit, that kind of thing.
Which, okay, this is a big question, but
yeah.
Can a project that's, well, let's be real, kind of seen as a copycat, can it really make it in the crypto space? Even if it's, like, well executed? I mean, originality is everything in this world.
It's a good question. And it's something people debate, a lot. Being first, having that totally new idea, it's a huge advantage, yeah. But success, it's not just about being the first one out the gate.
So it's not about reinventing the wheel. It's more about building a better one, or at least a different one that, speaks to a certain type of user, a specific need.
Exactly. It all comes down to execution. A copycat, even if, it's a copycat, if it's well executed, it can still be successful. Like a skilled artisan, you refine the existing concepts, you add your own flair, maybe you even find a niche. Focus on what matters to people,
So the takeaway is, don't just dismiss a project because it looks familiar. Do your homework, compare the features, see if it fits your investment style, your risk tolerance.
100%. Knowledge is power, my friend, especially in this wild world of DeFi.
On a slightly different note, something that really got me thinking lately, and this might resonate with some of you out there building your own thing, was this essay, Founder Mode, by Paul Graham. Have you seen this thing?
Oh, yeah. Founder Mode. It's everywhere. Everybody's talking about it.
So his main point, and it really struck a chord with me, is that all this traditional management advice, the stuff they tell you in business school, it can actually hurt startups, actually be detrimental. He makes this comparison, right, between managing a failing school versus a thriving one.
Yeah.
Totally different approaches, right?
Adaptability, right? That's what it comes down to. Too many leaders, they get stuck in one mode,
Yeah.
They don't realize things change, the challenges change, you got to adapt your approach.
For those who haven't read it, and it's definitely worth a read, can you, summarize, what's the difference between this founder mode and what he calls manager mode?
Okay, so imagine you're building a rocket ship. Founder mode, you're right there, hands dirty, covered in grease, you know every nut and bolt. Intuition, deep understanding, that's what it's all about. Manager mode, now you're thinking bigger, right? Building a whole fleet of rockets. Delegation, processes, efficiency, different game.
So it's like you go from the builder to the architect.
Yeah.
Hands-on to, the big picture strategist. That's got to be tough for a lot of founders, those who are used to being in the trenches, right?
Oh, absolutely. And Graham, he nails it, that transition. From founder to manager, huge challenge. But if you want your company to grow, you got to make that shift.
It reminds me of this manager I had early in my career, real old school, top-down kind of guy. I hated it. It was so stifling. But it was interesting. The younger people, the Gen Z interns, they had zero tolerance for it.
It makes sense, right? It's a generational thing, too. This generation, they're used to having a voice. They're not afraid to speak up. And they'll walk if they're not feeling it.
Yeah.
Remote work, the gig economy, it's all playing into this. People want autonomy. They want flexibility.
It makes you wonder, right? In a world that's becoming more and more decentralized, where individual empowerment is the name of the game, could this founder mode thing, this like adaptability, this resourcefulness, could that be just as important for everyone, not just startups, but for people navigating their careers, their lives?
Yeah.
You know?
Man, that's a really interesting question. In a world where information is everywhere, opportunity is everywhere, maybe it's the people who can tap into that founder mode, who are willing to experiment, to learn constantly, to adapt. Maybe those are the ones who really thrive.
It's definitely something to think about. And on that note, as we wrap up this deep dive, NFTs, DeFi, all this amazing innovation happening, just remember, knowledge. It's not just about knowing stuff. It's about doing something with it, like leadership, right? It's about application. Take what you've learned and go make something happen. Thanks for joining us, everybody.